We were talking about how now administration officials are trying to justify Border Patrol agents shooting and killing ICU nurse Alex Pretti. And his gun rights and gun rights activists are not happy about what they're saying. Take a look.
I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign.
How rich is it that she is saying, showing up to the scene of a protest with a legally owned weapon should be grounds for a person's death, execution at the hands of the state by the same party and the same administration that praises Kyle Rittenhouse. When this administration has pardoned hundreds of January 6 rioters.
Hey, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
First of all, you're all lying.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight. Nobody brought a gun and brandished it out. It was not anywhere you could see it.
Yeah, he had a permit.
Alex Pretti
had a permit.
But he did not. They're saying that it was hanging out. That he had all these things to magazines to shoot. That's not what happened.
That is not true. And I think
that's my point.
I think your point is extremely important because we see now that the government lies to the American people, and they also flout the Second Amendment and Minnesota law. Because Alex Pretti, while he did have a concealed weapon, he had a permit to have a
He was allowed to carry it.
And Minnesota is an open carry or concealed carry state.
Yes.
The other thing I think it's really important, and when it comes to this discussion, is that Minnesota has for years allowed the open and concealed carrying of a handgun with a license. And it is such a permissive law that licensed firearm owners are allowed to bring guns into Minnesota's Capitol building. So there is no question that you can protest exercising your First Amendment right to peacefully assemble while in Minnesota while having that.
Right now we're watching,
I just wanted to finish up the point I was trying to make is that, you either believe that people have the rights or they don't.
Yeah.
You keep shifting. She brought up Kyle Rittenhouse. He brought a AK-47 or whatever that giant gun was and ended up killing 2 people.
Yeah.
This is when
and was acquitted.
And was acquitted.
Yeah.
None of it makes any sense. If you're supposed to follow the law, now the law has changed again. What is it? Why is it?
By the way, when you have a license or a permit to carry, oftentimes people always carry. So I had an ex who was in NYPD. He wasn't on the job at all. He didn't go to Dunkin' Donuts without his weapon on him. Carrying a weapon into places when you are legally carrying that becomes like anywhere you go. And the birth of the Second Amendment was about the people being able to protect themselves in case the government was to turn on them.
It's for this very
yes.
thing.
So exactly what's happening right now. That's not, I'm guessing he carries this wherever he goes, whatever, but this is a prime example of what people were allowed to protect themselves against, was to carry that weapon. So it wasn't something you even saw him handle, which is the perfect example to prove the point.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about this when we come back. We're back. We've been talking about Border Control agents killing ICU nurse Alex Pretti.
I want to hone in on this Second Amendment issue because, I mean, my jaw was on the floor hearing some of the most senior Trump officials basically denying the existence of the Second Amendment, something that is sacrosanct in the Republican Party. And the reason I think that this is breaking through in a way that previous scandals have not is because you now have gun rights groups, including the NRA, coming out saying responsible public voices should be awaiting a full investigation, not making generalizations and demonizing law-abiding citizens. You've got calls for investigations from Gun Owners of America, the Second Amendment Foundation, Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. And what I found the most rich about this is you've got folks, the FBI director said it, alleging that you would never bring a concealed carry or a permitted carry to a protest. My friend Sarah Longwell at The Bulwark pulled images of all over the country, state capitol protests, COVID protests, January 6th, where you had people who had their guns displayed, and guess what? They walked away alive. They were not gunned down 10 times, because that is your right in this country. And I'm sorry, like, it feels very Orwellian, but whatever the government tells you, that does not make your constitutional rights go away.
Well,
I think this is yet another example of hypocrisy by this administration, that somehow they can justify pardoning over 1,000 insurrectionists who did attack federal agents, who did cause the death of policemen days after January 6th. But somehow this man who was brandishing a phone is wrong. And listen, I want to say this. There's a lot of people right now feeling sad, feeling helpless, thinking that they can't do anything. You can do something. If you voted for Trump, it's not too late for you to open your eyes. If you are an independent who crossed over and supported Trump, it's not too late. If you're somebody that never gets engaged, it is not too late. If not now, when? If not us, who? We have got to get active. I urge you to call Congress. I urge you to demand a thorough, unbiased investigation for them to take action on the ICE funding bill that's in front of the Senate
so,
now.
Alyssa, you said something earlier about to agree with the mission, you almost had to put up with how it plays out. The Minneapolis police chief, Brian O'Hara, said something brilliantly, that they went an entire year last year and removed 900 guns from the street, arresting hundreds and hundreds of violent offenders, and we didn't shoot one person.
That's right.
It shows you that missions like this can be done within the boundaries of our law without unnecessary deaths.
And by the way, there were only 600 people on the police force in Minnesota. There are 3,000 ICE agents on the ground. It is not safer to have these ICE agents on the ground than it was before.
No, it's ICE. You need to get out of there. You just need to get out of there. Let's figure out a different way to deal with all of this. You are not helping. Get out of Minnesota right now.